In this video, we'll be talking about making histograms and bar graphs. As we continue thinking about using tables and graphs, again we have this question of why do we use tables and graphs? And we use tables and graphs to help summarize the data, and we also want to be able to try to see patterns in the data, and graphs are a way to do this too. We're going to be talking specifically about a couple of kinds of graphs, although there are many other kinds that exist. First, I want to briefly discuss the idea of outliers because this is something that we'll pay attention to. It's one of the things that's very easy to see when we're looking at a histogram, for instance, along with the shape of the data, the most frequent score, and things like that. An outlier is a score with an extreme value. This may be a very high or very low score in relation to other scores in the distribution. For instance, when we look at the histogram that has this arrow here, this graph is showing the frequencies of salaries. We can see that these salaries are shown with the lowest salaries to the left and the highest salaries to the right. And this last column, all the way out to the right here, is really far away from all the rest of the bars in the histogram. We can see from this graph that there are a couple of people whose salaries are really high, all the way to the right here. Because there are so few of these high scores, and because these scores are so different from the rest, we can say that these are outliers. With outliers, we really want to ask ourselves, are the people who are outliers here, do these people seem like they're really part of the same group as the rest of the people who our data came from? In this case, maybe the salaries here are from people who are working at the same company. And it's possible that maybe this far end of the spectrum, and these salaries are the ones that are coming from the CEO and people who are in the very upper levels of this organization. And so their salaries are much, much higher than everyone else's. If we were doing a study on these people who work for this company, we might consider if we want to include these people who are at the very high end of this spectrum of salary, or maybe we don't. Maybe this really isn't part of our target population for our study. We can often assume that there is something different going on with the people who our outlier data came from. Oftentimes in research studies, we might remove the outliers from the data before we analyze it. Although there are also times where there might be good reasons to keep the outliers in our data while we're analyzing. In this class, typically we're not going to be removing anything from the data before analyzing it, although I might ask you to identify a score that might be an outlier. When we're making graphs, we want to make sure to always do a couple of things. We want to make sure to give our graphs a title, describing what it's measuring and what's going on in the graph. We also want to make sure to label our axes, particularly for our x-axis or horizontal axis. We're going to give the variable name or the levels of the variable. And our y-axis or vertical axis is where we're always going to have our values, whatever those values may be, whether that's frequency, number of seconds, or something else. We also want to make sure that we include our units of measurement as well, whether that's seconds, minutes, dollars, whatever that may be. Particularly in AP format, we also typically give every graph a caption. This could be just a sentence describing what the graph is showing. You won't always be required to do that for the purpose of this class, but it's something that I may ask you to do at times. I'll always be very, very specific though if I expect you to give a caption for your graph. Looking at this slide, we see a histogram on the left and a bar graph or a bar chart, we might say, on the right. In the histogram, we see that all of the bars are connected. They're right next to each other. And this shows that the variables in these situations where we use histograms, these variables are continuous variables. Remember that a continuous variable means that there are theoretically an infinite number of values between any two given values. Bar graphs, on the other hand, are used for discrete variables. We're using for instance, categorical or nominal data. The spaces in between the bars on a bar graph signify the variable's discrete nature, the separateness of these different values from one another. For a grouped frequency table, the values shown are typically the midpoints of the interval used, which is what we see in this histogram on the left, actually. So how do we make a histogram? For a histogram, we're going to start out by first making a frequency table or a grouped frequency table. By making a frequency table first, we're going to make sure that we have all the information that we need right at our fingertips. Once we have our frequency table, we can then transfer that information from the table into our graph. Step 2 is to put our values at the bottom of the page. These are going to be listed from left to right, going from lowest at the far left to highest as we move right. Step 3 then is to make our scale of frequencies along the left edge of the page on our y-axis or our vertical axis. And we're going to start with 0 at the bottom, and our highest value is going to be at the top. And finally, we're going to make a bar for every value. Remember that for our histogram, each bar should be connected to the previous bar so that the bars are right next to each other without any spaces in between. Note that the only exception here is that if the frequency is going to be 0 for a particular value, that's going to appear like a break in the graph, and that's how that should look. As we see here with this break between the first column and the third column, because the frequency of this second value is 0. So if you're drawing a histogram and you have a value with a frequency of 0, you can skip that spot and skip to the next column. Alternatively, for this value with a 0 frequency, you can draw a line right on top of the x-axis, connecting the column before to the next one. Some students prefer to do it this way, connecting and drawing a line right on top of the x-axis, especially if they're really focused on making sure that they want to remember that everything is connected in a histogram. It's fine to do it either way, but it should look like this no matter how you do it. Make sure that if you draw a line, it's right on the axis, not above it, and that it still looks like a break in the graph like this. For a bar graph, you're really going to follow the exact same instructions as the histogram, but since a bar graph is used for discrete variables, we're going to leave a space in between each bar instead of connecting them. Having those spaces in between the bars is really the key to making a bar graph. So our instructions to make a bar graph are, we make our frequency table, we put our values at the bottom of the page. If we have a categorical variable, we won't have a lowest or highest value, so we don't worry about that if our variable is categorical. And next, we're going to make a scale of our frequencies along the left edge of the page and that y-axis, our vertical axis. We're going to put 0 at the bottom again, highest value at the top. And last, we're going to make a bar for each value, just as in our histogram, except again, in this case, each bar for our bar graph is going to be a separate bar, separate from the previous bar, or the space in between each bar.